I will be making the best old-fashioned ever, according to Stuff and Whiskey. They have a secret ingredient that you don't see in any other old-fashioned recipe. Does this secret ingredient make it the best? Let's find out. Welcome back to Old Fashioned Ways, and you know I love me an old fashioned. I've even tried over 100 different ways to make one. Now, I have seen many claim to be the best, the perfect, the only way to make an old fashioned. But on this one, will the secret ingredient make it the best ever as claimed, or just another great variation? I don't think there are any bad old fashions. When I saw this video the other day, I was excited. It's right up my alley. Erin had mentioned many times before how she loves how Josh makes an old fashioned. So they finally decided to share it along with the secret ingredient. Now, I am super excited. I can't wait. So let's get into this one. Josh's old fashioned recipe ingredients. 2.5 ounces of bourbon. Now, they mentioned using JTS Brown bourbon. But if you don't have this available, you can use Wild Turkey 101, or they even mentioned if you want to do a rye, use the Old Forester Rye, the 100. Next, their next ingredient is 1/2 ounce of pure maple syrup, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, plus some Luxardo cherries. Now, these are the best cherries for an old fashioned in my opinion. Also, the secret ingredient, but you're gonna have to wait until we make it to find out what that is. All right, it's time to make Josh's old fashioned, the best old fashioned ever, all right? So you need a glass and you want to put a large ice in it. Now, I do prefer clear ice. He says he doesn't care if it's clear or not. To me, I do prefer one. Next, he puts the bourbon in, and I'm using the JTS just like he recommended. This is my first time ever trying this. So he actually puts a full 2.5 ounces in it. He wants it to be spirit forward, and I get that. In my old fashions, I like them to be spirit forward as well. He also uses 1/2 ounce of pure maple syrup, or he says close to it. Maple syrup does go a long way and makes things sweet pretty quickly. So if you want it more sweet, add some more. If you want it less, add a little bit less. But make sure you use a good maple syrup, a good high grade maple syrup. Now, he likes to just use Angostura bitters, and he said 2 dashes of this. Ooh, that first dash wasn't good enough. I like Angostura bitters in mine, so add that little half extra dash there. Now, at Luxardo cherries, as I said, my favorite cherries. I think these are the best for an old fashioned, but I'm sure others would think differently. So he says he likes to add 2 because Erin likes to eat the cherries. But as he's doing that, he likes to add a little bit of that juice in there as well. And when I first started making my old fashions, I used to do the same thing. So it's not time to stir yet because we still have the secret ingredient. Are you ready for the secret ingredient? Drum roll. The secret ingredient is Grand Marnier. Yep, Grand Marnier. So what he said with this is, he came up with this is because they're trying to make old fashions just sporadically. They said, hey, today's a good night for an old fashioned. So they don't tend to carry oranges in their house. So they don't have oranges just sitting there. So he thought, how can I make up for that orange? Well, why not use some Grand Marnier? And he just puts a splash of it in there. So that's the same thing I'm going to do. Just a little splash of that in there. I'm going to put this off to the side here. And let's stir this up. Now you want to get a decent stir. You never want to over stir. You want it just to chill the glass, but you want it to be almost perfect because as you sit there drinking it, it's going to dilute a little bit more and more and make it perfect old fashioned. So there you have it. Josh's perfect old fashioned. All right. It's time for that fun part. Time to go in for that drink. Now, as I saw Erin bring it up to her nose, you could tell she already knows that she's going to enjoy it. So you can see that smirk and smile on her face like she's about to enjoy something she really does like. Ooh, has a very good smell on it. Very nice on the nose, but let's go in for that taste. Oh yeah. It's a very good old fashioned. I like it a lot. Lots of flavors, lots of complexity to it. I taste the spirit. You have a little bit of that, bitters in the background. That orange and the Grand Marnier actually comes through pretty well on that. I do like this. So I'm going to go into the second drink and just enjoy a little bit more and then give you my thoughts. So I've never had JTS Brown before. It is 100 proof. So it's 100 proof, not a very high proof. A lot of times when I make my old fashions, I like that little higher proof. But they went with 2.5 ounces to kind of make up for that, to give it more of that spirit forward, right? That maple, that syrup of the cherry kind of blends in well and gives it a nice little sweetness underneath. And on top of that, you get the orange. You actually do have that orange flavor coming through on this. And I do like that. When I make an old fashioned, I use Angostura bitters and I use orange bitters. And they mentioned you could do it that way, but instead of doing that, they use this. And I like it. I like it. It makes it, there's like a little bit more complexity to it, a nice flavor on the tongue. This is actually probably one of my top favorite old fashions I've ever had. So, hey, Josh and Aaron, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your secret ingredient. I'm sharing it with others as well, but I figured it was okay. You've already shared it, right? So I appreciate you guys. Thank you again for joining me on another journey down my old-fashioned rabbit hole. To our next journey, my friends, cheers.